we want our allies to be as capable as possible. And so, we certainly would like, we certainly encourage allies to invest in a serious way in their own defense to serve common interests. But I have to say that when we look at various allies around the world and how much they've invested, not just through their defense budgets, but through their actions in the alliance, the Australians look quite good. I mean, the Australians have clearly made over decades a strategic decision that they are going to be with the United States when the United States is in serious military actions. Yeah. And the idea is they want the Americans to have a vivid understanding and vivid recollection of Australian partnership, so that if the Australians ever need the United States for their own purposes, people in the United States will remember that and will feel that we owe the Australians the consideration that the Australians want us to show. And so I think that's not at all a bad basis for a healthy alliance. I looked at the Australian counterterrorism strategy that was published, the white paper that was published fairly recently, and the American strategy. And I think that in many ways the Australian strategy is superior because it has a focus on the ideological component of the terrorism problem. And I think that that's actually a much more clear-eyed view than the view that the Obama administration has expressed, where they basically have defined the terrorism problem and the terrorism enemy in institutional rather than ideological terms. Have the various Western countries pooled their understanding of the nature of the problem and pooled their experience from the various efforts they've made to counter the problem? And the answer to that is no. And I think that it's an area where there could be fruitful cooperation. It's quite clear there are debates within China between people who are advocating more constructive, more benign policies and those who are advocating more nationalistic, aggressive, or militaristic policies. And the stronger the alliance is, and the more we can make sure that Chinese don't believe that there is low-hanging fruit that they can, easily go after and thereby get into a major conflict with us or our allies, the more we can persuade them that they should take the benign path rather than the more militaristic path, the more likely we are to have the Chinese growing in a constructive way. Well, I think a lot has to be done. More has to be done because we're dealing with a changing security environment, and the key it's changing in a lot of ways, not just regarding China, but the key element of change is Chinese growth, and so I think all of us who have an interest in a peaceful, stable environment in the Asia-Pacific have to do more. There's bipartisan support for saying we have enormous interests in this region, we are going to remain in this region, we are going to ensure that we have the ability to play an influential role here. Now, I mean, my concern with what the Obama administration has done is they've made that point conceptually, and then I don't believe they're putting enough defense assets, there are enough assets into the defense budget to make that real. But at least conceptually, there's an agreement that the United States is going to be involved here.